Have you ever carried a weight no one could see? A quiet heaviness that follows you from morning to night, sitting on your shoulders even when you smile for others. Maybe you've learned to hide it well. Maybe people think you're strong because you never show how tired your heart feels. But inside, something keeps whispering that you're running out of strength. You wonder how long you can hold everything together. You wonder if anyone would understand what you never say out loud. And yet, you keep walking, pretending the weight is normal. But what if it isn't? What if the burden you carry isn't yours to hold? This story belongs to Arin. And somehow, it may also belong to you. Arin was the kind of person everyone trusted. He listened more than he spoke, helped before anyone asked, and smiled even when his eyes showed a quiet ache. People called him dependable, steady, strong. They never noticed how carefully he held his breath when life felt too heavy, or how often his hands trembled when no one was looking. He moved through his days like someone carrying glass, trying not to let anything slip, trying not to break. Inside, he felt a thin crack running through his heart, a reminder that he was softer than people believed. He wished someone could see past his calm face and notice the weight he hid behind it. But he kept walking, telling himself he had to endure it alone. What he didn't know was that his life was about to change in a way he never expected. Arin's days began before the sun rose. He answered messages that waited overnight, handled tasks no one else wanted, and filled the silence with quiet responsibility. At work, he carried the pressure of deadlines and the unspoken expectation that he would fix every problem. At home, his family leaned on him for decisions, comfort, and calm, believing he had endless strength. He said yes to everything, even when his chest felt tight and his mind felt crowded. Each request added a little more weight, and he never allowed himself to rest because he believed carrying everything made him valuable. When he tried to breathe, guilt whispered that he wasn't allowed to slow down. When he tried to speak, fear reminded him that people needed him too much. So he kept moving, kept holding, kept pretending he was fine. But inside, the tension built like a storm with no place to break. The weight grew heavier each day, pressing deeper into the soft parts of his heart. And though he didn't realize it, he was walking closer to the moment when everything he held would slip through his fingers. He kept pretending, until one small moment broke him. The breaking point arrived on an ordinary afternoon, disguised as something small. Arin had forgotten one simple task at work, something he normally handled without thinking. A coworker sighed sharply and said, "You can't even manage this?" The words were light, almost careless, but they struck him like a stone. At that moment, everything he'd been holding pressed down at once. His chest tightened, his vision blurred, and a quiet shame rose inside him. He tried to apologize, but his voice felt trapped. He had carried so much for so long, yet one mistake made him feel like he was nothing at all. Before anyone could see the tears gathering in his eyes, Arin walked out. He didn't know where he was going. He only knew he needed to breathe. His feet led him to the old riverbank at the edge of town, a place he hadn't visited in years. The water moved gently, as if it understood things people never did. He sat by the river, feeling like a failure for wanting to let go, believing that if he dropped his burdens, he would prove he wasn't strong enough. But beneath the ache, something in him was quietly searching, hoping for a reason to rise again. Arin didn't hear the footsteps at first. He was too lost in the quiet ache inside him, watching the river move as if it carried secrets he could never understand. But then an elderly man, the river keeper who tended this place for years, stopped a few steps away. He didn't ask what was wrong. He didn't offer solutions. He simply lowered himself onto the old wooden bench beside Arin, letting the silence breathe between them. His presence felt gentle, like someone who had seen many storms and no longer feared the rain. After a moment, the man glanced at Arin's trembling hands and said softly, "You've been carrying something heavy for a long time." The words were simple, but they reached a place deeper than judgment. Arin swallowed hard, surprised that a stranger could see what others never noticed. The river keeper leaned forward, eyes following the flowing water. "This river," he murmured, "has a story. One you might need today." His tone was steady, grounded, almost ancient. Arin lifted his head, drawn by something he couldn't explain. He didn't know it yet, But the old man was about to share a truth that would change everything he believed about his own worth. The old man picked up a small stone from the ground and held it in his palm. People think strength means holding on, he said quietly. But the river teaches something different. He tossed the stone into the water, and Arin watched it disappear beneath the ripples. Some burdens sink, the man continued, and some float. But the river carries all not because it is unbreakable, but because it knows how to release. He reached down again, this time letting sand slip through his fingers. The grains scattered into the current, carried away as if they had never been heavy at all. Your hands, he said, looking gently at Arin, were never meant to hold everything. Water dissolves what the heart cannot keep. Arin felt something shift inside him, a softness spreading through the tight places in his chest. The river's steady flow suddenly felt like a quiet invitation. The old man smiled faintly. Let the current teach you. What you release does not make you weaker. It makes space for you to breathe again. As the water moved onward, Arin realized he had never learned the difference between carrying and clinging. And for the first time, he wondered if real strength lived in letting go. Arin closed his eyes and let the river's quiet rhythm steady his breath. He whispered the names of the burdens he had carried for years. Guilt, fear, disappointment, the pressure to be perfect. Each word felt like a stone lifting from his chest. He imagined placing them gently into the flowing water, watching the current take what his heart could no longer hold. Tears slipped down his face, soft and unforced, like the river had given him permission to feel again. In that fragile moment, he realized he didn't have to earn rest. He deserved peace, and with every breath, the weight began to loosen. The river welcomed his release today. When Arin opened his eyes, the world looked softer, as if the river had washed a veil from his sight. His breathing moved with an easy rhythm he hadn't felt in years. The tightness in his chest loosened, replaced by a quiet warmth spreading through him. His inner voice, once sharp and demanding, now spoke gently, reminding him he was human, not a vessel for endless weight. Life no longer felt like a test to survive, but a flow he was allowed to move with. Your burdens do not define your worth. You are allowed to release what no longer serves your heart. Let go gently, without fear. Peace belongs to you too, and rest is not something you must earn. You deserve softness today. Share this with someone who needs to let go. And if you are struggling with a heavy burden, please know that help is available. You can find resources in the description below. Thank you for listening.